Good morning. So, y'all want to hear some shit. So, as most of you know, about a year and a half ago, Rob and I bought our home. We actually decided, we were living in Nashville, and we decided that we wanted to get out of the city life and move into the country. So we moved out towards the Pleasant View area, which is about 25 minutes outside of Nashville. So it works really good. And we started our little homestead. We've got chickens, ducks, and one of the concepts, the biggest thing is we want to try to grow as much of our own food as we possibly can, just for the health aspect of it. A lot of I have diabetes, and so a lot of food is like processed. A lot of vegetables have lots of like pesticides. A lot of the meat that you buy has tons of hormones and antibiotics. So we want to try to get away from that. So a year and a half ago we bought our house and we've started this little homestead, and I've always kind of put videos up of my successes and my fucking failures, which there's been a lot. YouTube has been phenomenal for us as a tool. We follow quite a few homesteaders, and we've actually have communications with them and are able to like ask them questions and talk to them. So like Cog Hill Farm, White House on the Hill, Justin Rhodes, Lumen Acres, Living Traditions. There's several that we really kind of talk to and are able to ask questions on a regular basis. So in the beginning of the winter, I have ground garden beds. And so I use Google a lot too to try to figure out like the best friggin' thing to do. And so Google told when I was Googling it, it said to cover our above ground beds. So we actually purchased mushroom soil from a local nursery here in Pleasant View. And they have also been truly phenomenal. Like great people, always answering a ton of questions that I have, like super awesome. And their soil, phenomenal. I mean, everything has just took off and grew, so well. So we were able to can and freeze a ton of vegetables from this past summer, which is awesome. And then we're going to be getting our meat chickens. And so all of our stuff is organic. We do not give nobody gets antibiotics or growth hormones. It's all natural. The meat chickens will be all natural because we really want to do like the farm to table to know exactly like where our food's coming from. So my dumbass, instead of doing like thorough research like I normally do and asking people, I just looked at this one site and it said protect your soil. I'm like, all right. So we went and bought this straw and we covered up all the soil because it was very freaking expensive. But in the long run, it's worth it. Just, it was like, $500 to fill all the beds, which they delivered and filled for us. And it's great nutrient, thick, enhanced soil. It's really good. We also add worm castings to it, which just makes it just take off. So my dumbass, I add straw to all my beds, thinking I need to protect the soil so it doesn't lose all those nutrients over the winter. So I called the lady from the nursery yesterday because I'm looking for a broad fork. I need a broad fork because I'm going to do a little patch, which I'll show you guys. I'm going to do watermelons, cantaloupes, loofah gourds, and birdhouse gourds. I'm doing that. I'm adding that this year, as if I don't have enough we're doing already. And so I'm going to add all that this year, but those are going to go straight to the ground. I'm not putting any of that stuff into the above ground beds. So I want a broad fork to break up the ground and get it ready to put the compost so I can, add all that shit. So she tells me, oh, no, you don't need to protect your soil. One of the downfalls is if you add the straw, you're going to get a ton of weeds from it. This took me 2 days to do, and it's laborious work. Like, I'm not, anything gardening, it's physical work, but it's good for you, so I don't mind. So today, I have to freaking rake out all of this damn ass straw and get as much up as possible and hope the wind like gets rid of the rest. Now, I did cover up the strawberries, which she said to leave, and we also grow asparagus. She said to leave the asparagus. When you cut the asparagus down, you leave about 2 inches, and then you're supposed to cover that, protect it. So to leave that. But everything else, I have to rake up and get out. And I'm telling you, if anybody wants to start homesteading, gardening, farm to table food, you should really do it. I mean, it's really rewarding. It's a lot of work, but it's extremely rewarding. We very much so like it. So last summer we got something called blight on our zucchini and squash. And it's like this little like white powdery type of mildew that happens, and it occurs if there's a whole lot of rain. And of course, Tennessee has been like ridiculous rain. It rained a lot this summer. It's rained a lot so far this winter. Just ridiculous. So I'm all natural. I don't put any pesticides or anything like that on any of my gardens or around any of the chickens. And so I actually talked to one of the YouTube homestead people that we follow, and they said take baking soda and water mixture and spray the plants down, and that'll kill it. It worked phenomenal. I mean, it's all natural, doesn't hurt anything, worked fantastic. So I was also telling her about that, and I was just wanted to know what I could do, because that can get into the soil. And so whatever I plant in that bed, these little bastards are acting crazy over here. What are they doing? Do you see them? Sorry. They're acting a fools. They can't get into the garden. I don't know if you can see this, but around the entire perimeter of the garden, I have 6 foot, I have bird netting, but then in additional to the bird netting, oh, they're going crazy, we have Premier One fencing. It's an electric fence. So we've got the Premier One electric fence, but they can fly. So we added this bird netting, which I'm not sure if you can do. It's 6 feet high. It goes all the way around the entire perimeter of the garden, and that kept the little fuckers out. Sorry, kept the little buggers out. So that worked out good, because we had a couple cold crops in here, and they ended up getting in and friggin' wreaking havoc, destroying it. And that's a lot of work to tend all that, to have my chickens go and tear it all up. So whatever. So anyway, so she tells me, go back to the story, I'm sorry. She tells me to go get some baking soda and actually sprinkle, after I rake all of the straw out of the beds, sprinkle baking soda onto the soil and just leave it there for the rest of the winter, and that'll really help. And then when I turn it over and add fertilizer and compost in the spring, when I start to plant, just turn it over, and that'll help to make sure that the blight doesn't come back. If you've ever had it, oh my God, it takes over in one day. Like, you'll check it that day, everything will be great. That next night it's like, poof, it just takes over your plants. So today I am going to, unfortunately, all of these beds that I freaking covered in straw, I have to rake all the straw out of it, because I didn't have any weeds at all last year. I was so freaking lucky. We had no weeds. Like, I'm telling you, maybe 3 or 4, we had none whatsoever in the beds. So I've got to pull all this freaking straw out of the bed. And this has asparagus, so this bed's going to stay. And then the far bed over there has strawberries. Strawberries have to be protected, so that's going to stay. But everything else is going to be pulled out. Got my freaking tools ready. And then I got my baking soda. And so what I'm going to do with the baking soda is I'm actually going to sprinkle it in 3 of the beds. Just because, like, I don't know if this stuff jumps or what happens, but it got in the bed that I had the asparagus and zucchini, and then it also got in the bed that we had this bed, which grew cantaloupe and watermelons last year. And it produced really well. It was awesome, but they just grow so big and so massive that I do not suggest at all putting melons in an above ground bed. That was one of our failures. I mean, we still got a ton of melon. We still got a ton of watermelon and cantaloupe, but it was ridiculous. So I do not suggest melons for above ground bed. Now, we did grow corn and we did grow potatoes, and they did magnificent, like absolutely positively magnificent. And so back here, we've already started prepping. This is where we are going to do the melons. So we've kind of marked it out, and this is behind our garden area we don't use. The chickens are over there, but even over there they have a 6-foot bird netting, so they can't get across. Hopefully we'll find out. So in the first plot, like I said, we're going to do the cantaloupe. In the second plot, we're going to do the watermelon. And then in this third plot over here, we're going to do the loofah gourds and the birdhouse gourds. Because we're going to go to farmer's market, so we sell a ton of our eggs and our vegetables. So I kind of want to add that. And then we have this fencing that we're going to use. Not sure if you can see it, but that's the fencing that we'll bend over for the gourds and the loofahs to grow into. I know this looks super weird. So someone told us this is pantyhose that we cut up and around any type of, blight or bug or anything. So we put the melons in these pantyhose. It still allowed them to grow, to breathe, to get water, but it kept them from breaking off the stem because we grew them straight up instead of to the ground, which worked out fine. But the vines just took over like crazy. But this allowed the melons to grow, still get air, expand, and not snap off the vine or touch the ground. So that's what I'm getting ready to do. Figured I'd give everybody a little once over. I have learned a lot from watching videos, especially when it comes to farming and things like that. So if I give anybody who's just any type of help or advice, I hope it works. Like I said, baking soda is getting ready to hit these beds. I can't believe anybody want to come help me rake all this out. I'll have a 6-pack ready for you. But that's what I'm getting ready to do. So I thought I'd just give you a little overview of what I'm doing on my little farm today. They're so nosy. It's like they have to know what's going on at all times. Little sons of guns. And in the next couple months, we're going to be so busy just getting everything ready. Like I said, we've got to compost that whole back area. We're going to do all that. We're going to have to start the seedlings in the greenhouse to get them to the ground. We're going to have to get an area for the meat birds to get them ready. To grow that I've messed up on and made an error. I need to kind of get it fixed now and get on top of it now, because I just won't have time once spring hits. If you have any suggestions that worked for you or didn't work for you, or something you see that I could be doing better, because like I said, we're only a year and a half into this, so we're very, very new still. My little scarecrow, he don't do a damn thing, by the way. But yeah, if you can see anything that I can do better or would make me more successful, please let me know. I love any ideas or anything like that. And then once spring hits, that's where the greenhouse is going to go. We're putting our greenhouse right there. I can't remember how big it is. It's pretty big. But we'll need a bigger one just because of the amount of vegetables and stuff that we are growing and wanting to produce. So that's what's going on the farm. I'll talk to y'all later. You have a great weekend.